Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Time for the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week. And this week's pick of the week, The Terrifics #5. This is the issue I have been waiting for. All of my expectations for this book, which is basically like a DC analog for the Fantastic Four. Jeff Lemire, I heard that Doc Shaner was going to be coming onto the book. I was super pumped for this book. And the first few issues, they're decent, but it's all right. A little bit of inconsistency in the artwork. Didn't really quite match up the tone to the story. All that is gone. Seriously, Doc Shaner, his first issue was last issue, but this one right here, which starts a brand new story, was just such a magnificent issue. Perfectly executed and well crafted. It's amazing. It's so fantastic. Seriously, in all the right ways. It does some amazing things with the storytelling technique. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it's a great start to a new adventure. It really gets into the heart of the story and into the heart of the characters. Seriously, The Terrifics, I almost want to say it's been the best New Age of Heroes book, but there are some that I've really thought were a little bit more consistent. But seriously, if every issue is like issue 5, this is amazing. This book has totally hit its stride. Not that it was bad before, but right now, this is levels above. This is great. This is the best comic book I read all week long. Great, brilliant storytelling techniques utilized throughout. Doc Shaner's artwork is just classic and refined and simple and amazing and very elegant. And Jeff Lemire's script was very, very, very clever. And I thought it was such a great issue. Very fun. It captures that old school Fantastic Four adventure comics type feel. And it's great. The characterizations is spot on. The dialogue is great. The pacing, the narration, everything about this book just shines magnificently. Seriously. The Terrifics #5 is the pick of the week. Very close behind it, though, was Detective Comics 983. This is Brian Hill's first issue as the new writer on Detective Comics. I believe he's only doing like a 6-issue story, but I hope he does more because this issue, he knocked it out of the park. The script was amazing. Batman's dialogue and personality were spot on. No problems there. The intermixing of a Black Lightning story kind of thrown together in there a little bit. There's a lot of stuff going on in this issue. This is setup of a great new villain. You got Black Lightning set up in a perfect way. All these stories mirror and reflect each other and differ from each other just the right ways. It's perfect. It's seriously a perfect script. It's amazing. The dialogue's right on point. The story is right on point. The pacing's right on point. Everything about the script in this is amazing. Hill just knocked this one out of the park. Seriously want to see this cat on some more Detective Comics beyond this story. If this is anything that we have, if this is just an example of what we have to come, it's amazing. Great stuff. Great characterization on Jefferson Pierce, on Black Lightning, on Bruce Wayne. Some cool big stuff happens. You know, things that happen in Batman stories all the time, but it's definitely, the story gives it the weight that's necessary. Everything was so great, especially the artwork by Miguel Mendonça. Fantastic stuff, really cool, really great. Don't really want to show you too much from the issue because certain things will seriously spoil some fun little bits for you. This book was amazing. It's got my seal of approval. I loved James Tynion's work over on Detective Comics. A great successor with Brian Hill right here. Fantastic. Man of Steel #5 is here this week. It's weekly, so of course we got Man of Steel. The final issue is next week. This is the penultimate issue with artwork by Adam Hughes, who sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. Just depends on the style that he's going with. I loved him in this issue. Great classic style, really cool, really nifty looking colors. Love the artwork in here, love the story, love the narration of Superman. Bendis totally understands the character of Superman that comes across here. He also understands Supergirl, and that's really interesting too. Some Supergirl bits in here. Fantastic book. I'm loving it so much. It's kind of setting up things in a big way for Bendis to come on to Superman, and the whole what happened to Jonathan and Lois gets a little bit more clear and just in a very interesting way. But I'm loving Man of Steel right now. Bendis so far 5 issues in. I'm hooked. And did you hear the news that in Superman #2 he's introducing the Nuclear Man from Superman 4 Quest for Peace? That's awesome. I think only Bendis could pull that one off, right? The Flash is here with issue number 49. The Flash War continues on. It's a fun, exciting book. Joshua Williamson's been crafting a very consistent, very fun superhero story that's loosely tied into the whole DC Rebirth Watchmen mystery type thing. You remember when we thought every single thing and every single book from DC was tying into that in some way? There are references back to the Button in this issue, lots of fun stuff like that. But this Flash War story, it's been fun. It's definitely going to set Wally West up for what's going to be happening in that Sanctuary series, which is actually Heroes in Crisis, coming out in September. But I'm loving it. That great Matina cover right there, that's the variant. You definitely want to pick that one up because it's beautiful, it's luscious. Some interesting twists and turns in here, and we learn for certain which Flash is faster and if they are faster than Superman. We learn for certain again, because we should already know this stuff. Teen Titans Special number 1 is here. Just like the Titans Special that came before it, it sets up the new Teen Titans book underneath the new Justice banner. You definitely figure out what Damian's kind of up to in here, but not fully. They do this weird little like trick with the, they set up something and like, did he really do that? And maybe he did, maybe he didn't, probably didn't. But it does kind of set up why Damian wants to do a new Teen Titans and go in this new direction, even away from his father. And it definitely picks up from some of his experience in No Justice. But this is basically a Red Arrow story, a Damian story, and a Kid Flash story. Definitely showing you where those characters are, what their motivations are, when they get back together. And it does have the first appearance of Crush in it. But it's like a cameo. It's nothing really super major, but it may be a big deal if that character becomes a big deal. Who knows? Silencer number 6 is here. You know, we were talking about the New Age of Heroes with Terrifics. One book that's maintained consistency at a high level for me has been Silencer. I've loved this book so much. And a lot of these books fall apart when the initial artist has left, I've noticed, except for the Terrifics and the Silencer. Silencer still is so much fun with Victor Bogdanovic on the artwork. It's great. It's fantastic. It's nothing like John Romita Jr. It's more like a Capullo, but with its own distinct style. I love the artwork. I love the story. I love the character. I'm loving everything about Silencer. I really appreciate that book right now. Mira, Queen of Atlantis number 5 is here with the penultimate issue with the inevitable turn that we were going to have in the story. I read this book straight up because I'm a huge Aquaman fan. Other than that, I couldn't recommend this book, seriously. It's all right. It's not bad, but it's nothing that's going to blow you away or knock it out or whatever. But it's basically just kind of setting some things up for the Aquaman books, you know, because there's a movie coming out, so you kind of got to get things in place, and that's kind of what this series is doing, in my opinion. Let's move over to Marvel, because as good as some of those DC books were, this week, Marvel has some really good books, including this one right here. It's The Sentry number 1 from Jeff Lemire, Kim Jacinto, and Rain Barreto. This book was fantastic. It was so cool. It's like, why do another Sentry book? Has that story, has that character not been done to death? Have we done everything we can with the Sentry? But then you tell me that Jeff Lemire's involved, and I'm totally down for it. He definitely gets a hold of these like Gold and Silver Age inspired characters, does amazing things with them, like books like Plutona, books like Black Hammer, of course. The Sentry, seriously, no different. Fantastic book. I loved it. Thought it was really cool. A great take on the Sentry and how they're dealing with the whole Sentry Void type thing right here. I like it. Really cool. Lots of references to the Paul Jenkins work. Lots of references to the Bendis work, including a lot of a gratuitous Sentry ripping things in half and throwing them into the sun. But it was really fun. I like the artwork. It's very dynamic by Kim Jacinto. Beautiful colors. I'll show you a little bit of something right there. I believe they've previewed that. Really fun stuff. I really liked it. If you're a big fan of the Sentry and things like that and getting into the psychosis of it and just how are they dealing with this post that Donny Cates Doctor Strange story, this is really fun stuff, and I really did like it. Seriously. Another fun, fantastic book from Marvel this week was Multiple Man number 1, written by Matthew Rosenberg. Fantastic script. It's great. Multiple Man died at the Death of X story. Well, he comes back, and it's explained very simply and very obviously, but it's a great book. It was really fun. It's got some quirkiness to it. It's very funny. It's very humorous. Great artwork by Andy McDonald and Tamara Bonvillain on the colors. Fantastic work. I love this book. It's got an appearance by the New Warriors. There's Multiple Man right there. He is back. It's explained, and it's such a fun book that I think a lot of X-Men fans will really respond well to. And Bishop alert. Bishop's in this issue, and he's got some great lines. Seriously, he does. Venom number 3 is here as well. Don't sleep on Donny Cates' Venom, and I don't think anybody is. This book is fantastic. It's amazing. It's superb. It's epic. It's everything that Donny Cates is capable of. This dude is just coming up, and he's just like the hammer of Thor, smashing through the comic book industry right now. Everybody's loving him, and it's because he's doing fantastic work. Add in Ryan Stegman on the artwork, doing the best work of his career, supremely detailed, the best version of a Todd McFarlane type style, but its own thing. It's great. It's so good. And what Donny Cates is doing with the mythology of Venom right now and the symbiotes, it's so cool and it's so epic and it's mind-blowing and it's fun and it's great and it's everything that a Venom comic book should be. The characterization of Eddie Brock is spot on. His relationship to the symbiote is fantastic. It's perfect. Everything in this book is great. Plus, Miles Morales is in this book, and it's some really fun stuff. Some nice references to the Bendis work back in the day, and a reference about the fact that his power is called the Venom Blast. But really fun, crazy stuff's going on in the Venom books right now, and I'm loving it. It's fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, Marvel 2-in-1 number 7 is here. It's the Thing, the Human Torch, and of course Victor Von Doom as well, continuing their adventures in the Marvel Universe through the multiverse, trying to find Reed and Sue. You find out some things, some revelations happen in this issue. It's a really great issue. Chip Zdarsky's been doing a fantastic job with these characters, with this story. This is no exception. Some great ideas, some really cool characterizations, and a nice, cool reveal, and some really great Doom stuff. Zdarsky knows how to write Doom and the Thing, definitely. Fantastic stuff. Thor number 2 is here. It is hot in the studio today. Man, I'm down here in the south of the United States, and it is hot today. Thor number 2 is out this week from Jason Aaron and Mike Del Mundo. Fantastic art, graffiti-like almost, beautiful, luscious colors, and a crazy, balls-to-the-wall Thor story that's really fun. Not as fun as issue 1, but it definitely gets more into the meat and progresses further this whole War of the Realms story that Jason Aaron's been building up and building up and building up, and now it's coming to a head, and you can feel it, and it's big, and it's epic, and you see the return of some old, long-lost, forgotten Thor characters. Not really long-lost, forgotten. They just haven't really been around in a while, but it was a fun book nonetheless. Black Panther number 2 was also a fun book. Ta-Nehisi Coates, Daniel Acuna telling the story of the Wakandan intergalactic space empire that exists 2,000 years into the future. It's really fun. It's light. This issue has a lot of fun, cool space action in particular. Beautiful colors, great action scenes, really cool Star Wars-y type stuff, but with that Wakandan flair to it. Old Man Logan number 6 is here. Another great issue. Ethan Sachs, Marco Cicchetto, they've been knocking this one out of the park. And who is the colorist? Because the coloring is amazing on this book as well. And that is Andreas Mosa. Fantastic stuff. This book has been fun. Filling in a little bit of information from that you got pre-Old Man Logan that we didn't really have, never really thought that we wanted it filled, but it's a fun book, a great journey. Clint Barton is awesome in this book. The characterization, the dialogue, everything's perfect. Kate Bishop makes an appearance, and they just have one of the coolest Venom stories ever is unfolding right here in Old Man Hawkeye. That book is amazing. Old Man Logan is trucking on through with issue number 42. This book has kind of been on a little bit of a lull right post the Marvel Legacy launch, right after that story with the Hulks. Ed Brisson's doing a great job on this book. The artwork's getting, it's not as flashy, but it's good, it's solid, it's great, but it's a decent book, and we're definitely building up to a point, I think, where Old Man Logan's going to go soon. What's going to happen in this book? Is it going to happen in Weapon X? Is it going to happen in that extermination thing that Ed Brisson is doing? But it's going to happen soon, and this is basically like the final days of Old Man Logan. That's how I'm viewing it. It's also, of course, Old Man Logan versus Kraven, so that's kind of fun, though I think that the characterization of Kraven in that issue is a little overly simplistic. Whatever. Hunt for Wolverine, some of them have been impressing me, some have not. Mystery of Madripoor has not impressed me at all. I did not like issue 2 at all. I did not like issue 1. I'm not going to continue reading that series. I'm not going to continue talking about it. I just didn't like it. It's not really, not my thing. The artwork has got an energy to it that's kind of cool and interesting, but overall it's just, I don't know. I didn't like the script, didn't like the story, didn't like the artwork at all. Infinity Countdown Darkhawk, though, is a different story, especially with issue number 3. I'm loving this book. I am a self-confessed Darkhawk fan from back in the 90s. Love this character. Love what they're doing with the character right now. The writing, the artwork, the coloring in this book is so fantastic. Seriously. The artwork is done by Gang Yuk Lim. Fantastic stuff. Written by Chris Sims and Chad Bowers. They're doing really fun stuff with the whole mythos of the Darkhawk and doing some really interesting thing. Beautiful, luscious colors, and you really get a good explanation on who the Razor is, what the Darkhawks are, and all that stuff really in here. A lot of exposition, but it's really fun, light, breezy, and it flows right through, and it does a great job doing it. Dark Horse Comics debuts a book called Modern Fantasy. This book was really cool. It's a cutesy, kind of fun slightly irreverent type, real life, slice of life type thing where like it's like a real life, it's totally like a real life story, right? But it's in fantasy world. So like, you know, dwarves and goblins and things like that. Like it's fantasy world, but it's still modern life. Does that make sense? But I like it. It kind of comes across like a Boom Studios book. It's got cartoony artwork that really fits it. I really thought that this book was knocked out of the park. I thought it was really cool. I thought at first I was like, I don't know if this is going to be something I'm into in the first few pages. But seriously, it's endearing. It's charming. It's seriously a slice of modern life. It was just... The fantasy element is almost inconsequential, but it's a great book, Modern Fantasy. You want to check it out? You want something different, something more quirky? That's your sleeper hit of the week from me. Bedtime Games is another new one from Dark Horse Comics. This one was all right. It had some really good characterization, some really cool artwork, especially for the story that it's telling. But ultimately, I just thought it was a little weak, especially towards the end. It got a little unclear and a little muddy, but it was a very, very solid debut, but not as good as Modern Fantasy to me. Descender is here with issue number 31. This book is amazing. This is the penultimate issue. This is the second to last issue of Descender. There's only one more left, and things are really heating up. I mean, they've been heating up, but now they're like really heating. In fact, this book is almost on fire. I'm surprised it hasn't caught on fire here. Lots of revelations, lots of character moments that we've been waiting to happen. Fantastic stuff. Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen. This is seriously one of the best comic books of the last 20 years, period. This book right here. If you've never read Descender, read it. Read it. This book is so good. You must read Descender. It's fantastic. Brothers Dracula is here with issue number 3. Doesn't take much to get me to like a Dracula story. Huge fan of the character. Huge fan of the original novel. This is really fun by Cullen Bunn and Mirko Kolak. I really like the artwork. I really like the story, the characterization. It's basically about Vlad and his brother Radu and their imprisonment and what they were actually doing. They were fighting vampires, of course, right? But it's fun and it's grotesque, and their vampires are really cool and nasty looking and very scary. And I like it. Brother Dracula, pretty good. I like it. Lucy Dreaming number 4 is here with a big turn into the story. The villain has been revealed. This is a very cool, imaginative story from Max Bemis and Michael Dialinus. The artwork is fantastic. The story is great. The characters are great. I really like it. I've been talking about this book, but it's really cool. It's about the power of dream and how important it is to reality. It's so good. Seriously, so good. Quantum Woody number 7. Look at that cover. Oh my goodness. These foil covers blow me away, and I'm glad the foil covers are here because this book has taken a dive since Daniel Kibblesmith has not been writing it. It's now Elliot Rahal, and it's all right. And I like the artist by the art by Francis Portela and the colors by Andrew Dahlhaus. Good stuff. It's decent, but it's not what this book was in the first few issues. And I really wish we could get back to that level of storytelling, that level of quality, that level of characterization and dialogue. But it's still all right. But those covers, man, they still got me hooked. Speaking of Valiant, Harbinger's Wars number 2. Number 2 is here. Harbinger's War 2, number 2 is here. And it's a fun story. I haven't really been keeping up with a whole lot of the Valiant universe for a whole big amount of time. But I'm enjoying the story. It's written by Matt Kent. It's got good artwork. Fantastic. It's cool. I really like it. It's got some very striking artwork. It really does. Even some of the characters I just have a passing knowledge of. It doesn't bother me. I'm into it. It's a fun little story. I'm liking it. And finally, let's talk about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 25th Anniversary Special. This book had a lot of fun little treats. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you're going to love it. You got artwork from a lot of different people like Joe and Jessica Quinones, Magdalene Visaggio, Trey Moore. Fantastic stuff. Really cool, neat little stories. You even got a Mystic Force story in there, an SPD story. What's the new one? Is it Ninja Steel? Is that the new one? See, I'm more of a Sentai guy nowadays. I used to be the hugest Power Rangers. But anyway, this was very fun, and the first few stories have the White Ranger in it, and that's very exciting for me. But if you're a Power Rangers fan, you're going to like it. But that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. There's your sleeper hit of the week, Modern Fantasy. Definitely something quirky and different if that's what you're looking for. Venom number 3 is awesome. Multiple Man and Sentry are awesome. And Detective Comics and the Terrifics are awesome. And of course, Man of Steel just trugs along as being a fun, cool new Bendis Superman book. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I want to know what you read and what you thought about it. Let me know in the comments down below. Celebrate New Comic Book Day with us, of course. Over at the PCP Army, you can join us on Facebook, PCP Army. Just search it or find it on the Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook page. Send us a request. We'll accept you into our group of Pop Culture Misfits. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.